We need to improve tactile function and speed if I'm gonna end this.
We also need kryptonite. That was the last of your supply.
Then we'll have to go get some.
I'll start the upgrades to your armor right away. Captain Luthor.
Welcome back, everyone. This is going to be my Superman and Lois episode 1 video. There's a whole bunch of Easter eggs. Obviously, this is a big deal that they're finally doing a Superman series again, sort of like a successor series to Smallville. So we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. I believe just because of the way things worked out with the big delays and the virus, there are now 16 episodes in season 1. There might wind up being more than that, but I think normally there'd be like 20 episodes per season, just like normal CW shows. But this is basically meant to be their new flagship series, like the biggest series that they have. You probably saw all the Man of Steel Easter eggs. They have Easter eggs for all the Superman projects going back to the old movies, even Easter eggs for the Fleischer cartoons, like the suit that he's wearing, which is meant to be the first version of his suit within the universe here. I know there are a lot of questions about how this all fits in with the Arrowverse and everything they changed during Crisis on Infinite Earths because the character debuted on the Supergirl TV show too, so I'll explain how they kind of rebooted everything with Crisis on Infinite Earths. It'd probably be much easier just to treat this like a brand new version of this character, like just forget about the Supergirl stuff. But the episode starts with a big montage of him narrating, because that's a big CW thing. All the superheroes narrate the intros to all their TV shows. He basically narrates his backstory, sort of reintroducing you to the character, treating it like this is the first time you've ever seen Superman show up on the CW. You see Krypton explode, him get sent to Earth in his pod, basically all the seminal moments of Superman's life up to present day. The Kents finding him, then him learning about his powers, then him learning about his origin, going to Metropolis, meeting Lois Lane at the Daily Planet for the first time, him saving the PT Cruiser, putting it down, also meant to be a reference to the Action Comics cover. Then the birth of the twins. Obviously this is a big change from before Crisis because we saw baby John Kent from the comics, and he was a baby during Crisis. But then after, they both have twins and they're teenagers. The reason why they use Crisis to reboot that part of the character is they felt like it would be much more interesting to do it this way. So they're basically doing Smallville, only Superman is the Jonathan Kent now. So remember all the scenes where Clark would get into problems and learn about his powers, he had adventures all over town? They're going to have a version of that on this TV show, like problems for the twins to solve, because obviously now one of them we know has powers. The other one, John Kent, will probably get his powers later on the show. And because they go back to Smallville for the series, that's where it's going to take place. I know people are wondering if we're going to see Smallville actors come back and cameo on the show. Like Tom Welling could always come cameo if he wants to. They all exist, those characters in the Arrowverse already, the Smallville characters, literally. So them coming back is just dependent upon them actually wanting to come back. Jordan Kent himself is already doing a lot of detective work early in the episode, so it seems like he's very inquisitive and will be searching for problems to solve. So they'll have that running storyline going on while you have Superman dealing with all these earth-shattering problems and this new mysterious quote-unquote Luthor stranger who seems like he's from an alternate universe. I'll explain that in a second too. Big question on which version of Lex Luthor is in that suit, because clearly he doesn't seem like he's from this version of Earth. I think that gets into some Infinite Crisis Easter eggs. Then they finally get to present day in the montage, and he's stopping this nuclear reactor meltdown by freezing a bunch of nearby lake water into a giant ice cube. Lois Lane's father, General Sam Lane, is working with him clearly. They have some sort of partnership. He doesn't seem like a complete antagonist. This is one of many twists and reversals on Superman tropes of previous movies and TV series, because pretty much every version of this character you've seen before, even going back to the Smallville TV series, was a villain for Superman, always out to get him. This is Dylan Walsh playing the character. You probably recognize him from something, TV, movies. He's done a bunch of stuff. He's actually a pretty big actor, so it's a pretty big get for them to have him on the show. But the way they play it, he's still incredibly powerful in the government, in the military, and even though he's working with Superman, it doesn't mean they're super best friends. It just means they have a working relationship, and it sounds like there's going to be some drama later on this season between them. They find out that someone's trying to sabotage all those nuclear reactors. Later they reveal, the stranger reveals to Superman that it was him that did it, and he was testing him to see what his skills were like, to see how good he was. He was just using the nuclear reactors because they had all the lead shielding so that he could hide his presence until he was ready to actually reveal himself to him. We find out that the family is currently living in Metropolis in a townhouse. You get all these name drops of the Daily Planet. You get a sense of their day-to-day when he walks into the house at night, and you notice the way they change it. So during the beginning of the episode, all through his first big save, they have all this sweeping Superman soundtrack going on. It's meant to feel like a big Superman movie, very cinematic, but when he walks in the front door of their house and goes back into Clark Kent mode, all the music drops out, it goes dead silent, and things get real fast. So this is the whole thing with the TV show, is this is like the new spin on the Superman character. What have they not done before? They haven't shown you family man Superman in TV shows or movies before. So the whole idea that they try to hammer home through the episode is the idea that he might be a living god on Earth. He is the Superman, but he's not a super dad. You notice a bunch of Easter eggs around their house too. On the chalkboard, you see it reads Dr. Donner for Richard Donner, director of the first Superman movie in 1978. Then it says Siegel and Schuster, the original creators of the Superman character. The first twin is named John Kent, who's obviously John Kent from the comics. He's talking about being a freshman quarterback, and they had that reference during the flashbacks in the montage when he was a baby. He throws the football so hard that it breaks the rope, and they think that he might have powers, but they tease this whole thing early on in the episode where Superman had them tested at the Fortress of Solitude, and the Fortress told him that it was unlikely that they would get powers. That was just meant to justify why Superman felt like he should not tell them about him being Superman, sort of explain how it is they went their entire lives without them realizing their dad was the most powerful person on Earth. Obviously, we find out that Jordan does have powers during the episode. Then the other mislead, probably in some future episodes, some big moment, John Kent will also manifest his powers as well. You notice in the background of his room, there's a Smallville Crows banner, which is meant to be a reference to the Smallville TV series and the Crows football team. Clark played on the football team for a little while. Superman makes a reference to being the equipment manager for the Smallville High football team. That's a reference to the original Superman movie, 1978. His son Jordan is playing Injustice 2, and he's actually fighting against Superman. Oh, I'm playing as Raiden. Superman sucks. They really wanted you to think during this episode that he's going to turn into this super edgelord Superboy Prime version of the character. That was one of the earliest predictions that I made when they announced that they were going to do twins. Like, oh, one of them is going to be like regular Superboy, like John Kent in the comics. The other one might break bad and be more like Superboy Prime. They set up the whole storyline with him missing the phone calls from Martha Kent because she's trying to tell him about what's going on with the farm, the reverse mortgages. Then later she has the stroke and winds up dying in a moment that's very similar or made to be a reference to Jonathan Kent dying during the Superman movie. They set up the whole conflict with Morgan Edge. He's going to be one of the main antagonists during season 1. He's a big Superman villain from the comics too. They reveal that Morgan Edge is basically cleaning house. He's also busy buying up all the land in Smallville, too, for some special plot that he has that we'll probably find out more about later this season. But as part of his plan, he's basically gutting the Daily Planet, so he has Clark Kent fired. Probably because he hates Clark Kent, but he also wants to fire a bunch of people just in general. So like I said, because they're using him like they used Jonathan Kent on the Smallville TV show, they had to have a reason for him to be around the whole time. So now that he doesn't have to be a reporter during the day when he's not doing regular Superman stuff, he'll be on the farm day to day, teaching them about their powers, giving them heartfelt speeches like classic Jonathan Kent. They make a reference to Dr. Fry. Dr. Fry was Jonathan Kent's doctor during the original Superman movie. The way they cut the transition was really cool too, where he flies into one end of the barn almost instantaneously and then runs out the other end looking like Clark Kent. Then when they're having her funeral, they cut it with all the footage of Jonathan Kent's funeral when Clark was a little kid. These are all the actors on set just hanging out too. Young Clark Kent with the twins. You also notice as they sort of pan around town in the montage, you see shops are being boarded up. The local economy is terrible. They sort of explain this later when they're talking to Lana Lang's family, like how everything has basically gone to shit around town. They have the barbecue, then Lana shows up with her family, her daughter Sarah, obviously going to be one of the big characters on the show, probably get into a whole bunch of adventures with the twins. Jordan has a huge crush with her. They sort of set up what that love triangle is going to be like. She has a boyfriend right now. They did the exact same thing on the Smallville TV show. He fell in love with Lana Lang, but she had a boyfriend at the time, so they kind of teased that out over multiple seasons before they eventually got together. A lot of this should feel very familiar for anybody that watched any of the seasons from Smallville. They make a couple of jokes about her and Clark going out when they were in high school. She was kind of like his first love. They set up the whole conflict with her husband and their marriage problems. That's a bit of a reference to Superman 3. If you remember that movie, it was a younger version of Annette O'Toole playing that character. Then she became the mother on the Smallville TV show. Now they're doing the Superman 3 plot on the Superman TV show. The Easter egg circle is now complete. They set up the whole teaser with the Morgan Edge storyline about trying to quote-unquote retrofit coal mines with new clean technology. That's definitely going to turn into one of the big villain plots. Everything that happened with this whole barn storyline and them finding out about them having powers, him being Superman, they telegraphed this pretty well, so you all probably sense where this was going. Like, oh, there's clearly going to be an accident in here where they get hurt, but they don't get hurt, and he has to explain why they didn't get hurt. Oh, because you are my sons, and I'm the most powerful person on Earth. They played for a big reversal though. Oh no, it wasn't John, it was Jordan who saved him. Then when Lois's father comes back, we learn that the quote-unquote mysterious stranger, the Luthor that's in the special suit, knows Kryptonian language and is basically taunting Superman using Kryptonian. They set up the whole storyline with the reverse mortgages and the reason for why everybody is selling their land to Morgan Edge. They paid that off a little bit at the end of the episode too, like, oh, why would Morgan Edge want to buy up all these people's mortgages? Why would he want all their land? Clearly, this is going to be something really huge. They had the funny reference to Martha Kent being like a local version of Superman because she was helping everyone with their money problems, or like Superwoman. The reason why he laughs when she says that is because both Lana Lang and Lois Lane have been versions of Superwoman in the classic comics. But then the twins investigate. That's just sort of setting up the idea that they're really inquisitive and they're going to get into all kinds of trouble on their own without Superman around town. Like you had meteor freaks on Smallville. They need to have their own problems that they go solve while they're learning about using Jordan's powers. They find the pod, it responds to Jordan's DNA because he has Superman's DNA, and it passes him one of the Kryptonian control crystals. I don't recall that we saw him give it back to Superman. I didn't spot any really obvious Easter eggs in the other items that were just sitting around the basement of the barn, but if you did notice any from the classic movies or from the Smallville TV series, just point them out in the comments below. When he comes back, they make the joke about him having super smell. Oh, I actually do have super smell. I just don't use it very often because we have the teenage boys and they smell gross. Then the twins come running up all pissed off, and he basically narrates his entire backstory to them. I came to this Earth in that spaceship because my home planet Krypton was destroyed. Your grandparents found me, raised me, and taught me to blend in and hide my identity. Then you notice when he's lifting the truck, it's actually meant to be an Easter egg for the Kents finding him. Like he says, oh, I crashed in that cornfield right over there. It's meant to be a reference to him as a baby from the 1978 Superman movie lifting the back of the truck up. Then as the twins flip their shit, he gets another alert using his super sense of hearing that the stranger, the Luthor, is taunting him, setting a trap for him at another nuclear reactor. But he knows it's a trap because he instantly flies in and says, I know you're here, come show yourself. Then they intercut their fight with the big fight at the bonfire. While they're at the bonfire though, they sort of set up the conflicts that are going on around town, like there's all these meth labs, there's all this shady stuff happening, things that Jordan will probably try to solve with his powers, like, oh, I have abilities now, maybe I can do something to help. Lana Lang's daughter, Sarah, gives you this really dark narration on her backstory like, oh, I actually tried to kill myself because things got really bad a couple years ago. They just want to show you that they have something in common and sort of set that ship up, what that's going to be like across season 1. Like I said, it'll probably be like it was on Smallville, but classic beginner mistake and big twist. He goes in for the kiss and the boyfriend comes around and clocks him and starts that big brawl when John shows up. It's sort of like a slow build, so he'll probably become more powerful over time, and eventually we'll see John Kent's powers manifest. So until that, they only seem like they have a fractional amount of Superman's powers. So you could still hurt them, it would just take a little more force. The other bonus to that too, though, is that while they only have a fraction of his abilities, they also have a fraction of his weakness to kryptonite. But while this is going on, more important, you have this other alternate version of Lex Luthor in the super suit fighting Superman, just taunting him, talking about how they have history together and the planet he came from was destroyed just like Superman's planet was destroyed. And imagine my surprise when I found out you were living here. So here's what I think is going on with this version of Luthor, because at the end of the episode, you see him board his really advanced-looking spaceship talking to an AI about upgrading his suit and finding more kryptonite. I think this is a reveal that he's going to be a version of Alexander Luthor from Infinite Crisis. And based on the way he was talking about his history with Superman, it sounds like the version of Superman from his universe was more like Homelander, more of a villain, and he was more of a hero in his home world. Now he's wound up in the Earth Prime universe, and he wants to take down Superman just because he remembers him as a villain. So what probably happened is during Crisis on Infinite Earths, his Earth was destroyed like pretty much everyone else's, but then when Oliver, as the Spectre, rebooted the multiverse, his Earth did not get brought back. He somehow survived Crisis and then wound up in this universe, so when he came back to Earth and learned that it wasn't his Earth and saw Superman, he got all pissed off and now he's on this quest for revenge. You know, who knows what his larger plan is going to be, if it's going to be like comic book Alexander Luthor, but I think that's most of what's going on with the character. Like, he's a version of Alexander Luthor who was a good character, like a hero on his version of Earth, but he's going to wind up being a villain in this universe. But everyone, post all your theories in the comments below. Do you think that Jordan is going to wind up breaking bad eventually and going more Superboy Prime? When do you think that John Kent's powers are going to manifest? And what do you think is going on with this alternate universe version of Lex Luthor? They're not going to do a big crossover episode this year just because the virus delayed everything and made it way too complicated. But I think the whole idea is Grant Gustin said that he did want to do a bunch of Superman crossovers, so we might see some Superman Flash crossover stuff in future seasons. If this video winds up doing really well and everyone really likes the series, then I'll think about doing weekly videos for the series. Otherwise, I'll probably just cover big highlights and super big WTF moments as they happen through the season. But if you spotted any big Easter eggs during the episode that I didn't mention in the video, just write them below in the comments. Very Man of Steel feeling version of a Superman TV series. Like, do the Smallville TV series, but make it feel like the Man of Steel Henry Cavill movie. Speaking of which, there'll be some more Justice League Snyder Cut trailers coming in the next couple of weeks too, because that movie is dropping in March. It'll be over 4 hours long. Of course, I'll be doing a bunch of videos for that too. My full WandaVision Episode 8 video will post this Friday just like normal. There'll be a bunch of other bonus videos. I'll put links for all those trailers in the description below, but everyone click here for my brand new WandaVision Episode 8 trailer video in that post-credit scene, and click here for my full WandaVision Episode 7 video. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys tonight.